Picture this. A retiree sits on their porch in Sebring, Florida, watching the sun set over Lake Jackson. They moved here just 2.5 months ago, and when asked about their new home, they pause before answering. It flies under the radar, they say quietly, almost like they're sharing a secret they shouldn't. That phrase, flies under the radar, appears in hushed conversations across 10 small Florida towns right now. From Sebring to DeFuniak Springs, from Chiefland to Madison, locals are watching something unsettling happen. Property searches from out-of-state buyers have spiked 340% in the past 18 months. Tour buses that used to bypass these towns now idle on Main Street. And the median home price in Sebring, it jumped from $147,000 to $209,000 in just 3 years. Here's what nobody's talking about. In each of these 10 towns, longtime residents have started doing something they've never done before. They're removing real estate signs from their yards at night. They're asking local newspapers to stop publishing those best places to retire articles. In Palatka, the Chamber of Commerce actually voted against updating their website with cost of living data. Why would locals in Paradise want to keep it secret? The answer lies in what happened to other Florida towns when word got out. You've seen it before. A quiet beach town gets discovered, and within 5 years, the original residents can't afford to live there anymore. But these 10 towns have something different, something that makes locals especially protective. What exactly are they protecting? And which town will be the next to watch its secret shatter? The data tells a story that even shocked us, because what's happening in these towns isn't just about real estate. The data paints a picture that would make any coastal refugee's heart skip a beat. Take Punta Gorda. 54% of its residents are over 65, with a median age of 66.5. That's not a retirement community. That's an entire town that's quietly transformed into Florida's best-kept secret. While Miami Beach condos demand $800,000 for a one-bedroom, Punta Gorda's median home price hovers around $324,000, and it's actually dropping, down 3.3% year over year in what analysts call a correcting market. But here's where it gets interesting. These aren't random bargains scattered across Florida. There's a pattern. DeFuniak Springs, median home price $190,000, population 16,000, cost of living 8 to 10% below national average. Madison 10 to 12% below Florida's average cost of living, with one of the highest senior volunteer participation rates per capita in the region. Chiefland, entry-level homes under $180,000, population 2,300. Each data point tells the same story. These towns represent the last affordable frontier in a state where affordable has become a 4-letter word. The numbers reveal something else. In Punta Gorda, 61% of housing units are owner-occupied. That's not investors or vacation rentals. That's people who moved here to stay, people who found what they were looking for and planted roots. The city estimates it needs just 427 new housing units over the next 7 years. Compare that to The Villages, which builds 427 units in 7 months. Here's the kicker. A single person in Punta Gorda spends about $3,467 per month, 27% below the national average. In Fort Lauderdale, that same lifestyle costs $5,200. No wonder Punta Gorda's apartment rents dropped 10% last year, while the rest of Florida's kept climbing. These aren't accidents of geography. They're the result of a quiet calculation thousands of retirees are making. Why pay $500,000 for a condo with a partial ocean view when $190,000 gets you a house with a porch in DeFuniak Springs? Why fight traffic in Sarasota when Sebring offers lakes without the crowds? The data doesn't lie, but it does whisper a warning, because understanding these numbers is just the beginning. To truly grasp what locals are protecting, you need to walk through these towns and feel what they feel when another moving truck rolls down Main Street. Walk down historic downtown Punta Gorda on a Tuesday morning and you'll understand immediately. The woman at the coffee shop knows your name by the third visit. The pharmacist at the local drugstore, not a chain, remembers your prescription without checking. At ShorePoint Health, the emergency room wait time is measured in minutes, not hours. This isn't just small-town charm, it's infrastructure built for exactly the population it serves, not one person more. "We've got a good thing here," says a local at the weekly farmers market watching newcomers photograph the Charlotte Harbor waterfront. Her tone isn't unfriendly, but there's something underneath it. Fear, maybe. Because she remembers what happened to Naples, to Sarasota, to every hidden gem that got discovered. The fear isn't unfounded. Punta Gorda needs 427 new housing units over the next 7 years just to maintain its current balance. That's not growth, that's survival. But here's what keeps locals up at night. What happens if they need 4,270? The math is delicate. ShorePoint Health serves the current population beautifully. The walkable downtown has just enough restaurants, just enough shops. The marina has just enough slips. But double the population? Triple it? The whole ecosystem collapses. Suddenly, that 15-minute drive becomes 45 minutes. That emergency room starts measuring wait times in hours. That coffee shop owner doesn't know anyone's name anymore. Now multiply this across 3 towns, each facing the same precipice. In Palatka, they call it waterfront living on a budget, and they're not wrong. The St. Johns River offers everything the coast does, minus the hurricanes and the crowds. Locals have spent decades building a community around that river. Boat ramps that never have lines, restaurants where you can always get a table with a view, doctors who still make house calls. They've created their own version of paradise, one that works precisely because it's not paradise for everyone. Then there's Inverness, the nature coast value play that nobody talks about. Lower housing costs, moderate property taxes, no state income tax, the financial trifecta that makes retirement possible for people who thought Florida was out of reach. But it's more than numbers. It's the trails through Withlacoochee State Forest, where you can walk for hours without seeing another soul. It's the local hospital that hasn't been overwhelmed, where nurses still have time to chat. It's the peculiar magic of a place that's figured out how to be enough without being too much. Here's what haunts these communities. They've watched the pattern too many times. Discovery, articles, moving trucks, price spikes, original residents priced out, culture erased, paradise paved. The 61% owner occupancy rate in Punta Gorda isn't just a statistic. It represents thousands of people who found their final home, who built friendships with neighbors, who volunteer at the library and join the garden club. People who don't want to be forced to find another last place because this one got too popular. The pressure is already building, and there are 7 more towns where the same transformation is just beginning. The underground network stretches across Florida like a constellation of secrets, each town a different answer to the same desperate question: where can we afford to actually live? Madison pulls you in with numbers that seem impossible in 2024 Florida, cost of living 10 to 12% below the state average. But walk through downtown on a Thursday afternoon, and you'll see what those numbers really mean. The Senior Center isn't just busy, it's buzzing with what researchers discovered is the highest volunteer participation rate per capita in the region. Gray-haired residents organizing food drives, teaching computer classes, running youth programs. They didn't just move here to retire, they moved here to matter. In Miami, I was invisible, one volunteer mentions while sorting donated books. Here, I run the literacy program. 40 kids show up every week. This is Madison's secret weapon. It turned its retirees into its heartbeat. The town doesn't just welcome seniors, it needs them. And that mutual dependence creates something price tags can't measure. DeFuniak Springs tells a different story. Population 16,000, median home price hovering near $190,000. But here's the line that stops out-of-state buyers cold. Better healthcare access per capita than nearby resort counties. How? Because DeFuniak Springs never outsourced itself to tourists. While Panama City Beach built condos, DeFuniak built medical clinics. While Destin chased vacation dollars, DeFuniak invested in year-round residents. The result? A small city with big city healthcare hidden in the panhandle where nobody thought to look. The monthly rent here, $1,000 to $1,100, buys more than walls and a roof. It buys you into a community that chose permanence over profit. The Victorian homes circling Lake DeFuniak aren't vacation rentals, they're family homes passed down through generations. The doctors at the local medical center aren't seasonal, they're neighbors. This is what healthcare looks like when a town refuses to sell its soul. But if you're looking for the most extreme version of this underground railroad, drive to Chiefland. Population 2,300, that's not a typo. Entry-level homes under $180,000. This is where retirees come to disappear into nature, and nature eagerly participates in the conspiracy. The Suwannee River keeps its secrets. The state parks don't advertise. Even the GPS seems reluctant to give directions. You don't find Chiefland, locals say. Chiefland finds you. And when it does, you discover what $180,000 really buys. Not just a house, but admission to Florida's last frontier, where manatees outnumber tourists, where your nearest neighbor might be a mile away, where the biggest traffic jam is 3 cars waiting for a deer to cross. If you're someone who spent 40 years dreaming of a Florida retirement that looked nothing like a crowded beach or a golf cart parade, if your paradise includes actual peace and actual quiet, then what's happening in these 7 towns is either your greatest opportunity or your biggest fear. Because once word gets out, once the articles get written and the moving vans start arriving, that thing you're searching for vanishes like morning mist over the Suwannee. The pattern is already starting. Each town serves its own tribe of refugees, each offers its own version of affordable paradise, and each watches nervously as the secret spreads. Because they all know what comes next. The tipping point arrives quietly, like a storm surge that nobody notices until the water's at their door. Punta Gorda knows this better than anyone. They've already crossed it. Remember that 54% senior population we mentioned? That didn't happen overnight. 10 years ago, Punta Gorda was just another sleepy harbor town. Then came the first Hidden Gems of Florida article, then the second. By the time YouTube creators discovered it, the transformation was unstoppable. Today, those charming streets built for $15,000 now serve $21,000. The math stopped working 3 years ago. Here's the number that should terrify every town on our list. 32% of Punta Gorda households are now cost-burdened. Think about that. Even in this affordable haven, nearly 1 in 3 families spends more than they can sustain on housing. The retiree who moved here in 2014 for the low costs, they're now watching their fixed income get devoured by property taxes that tripled as values surged. The warning signs are flashing across every town we've mentioned. Google searches for retiring to Sebring jumped 340% last year. DeFuniak Springs real estate queries doubled every quarter. Madison just appeared on its first best-kept secret list. The fuse is lit. But here's where it gets truly unsettling. The infrastructure these towns built for specific populations can't scale. ShorePoint Health in Punta Gorda, exceptional for 20,000 residents. Add another 10,000 retirees, those minute long emergency room waits become hours. That beloved local pharmacist, replaced by a chain that doesn't know your name. The walkable downtown suddenly needs parking garages. And if you're thinking of making your move to one of these last affordable havens, here's something that might help. I've put together a complete breakdown of all 10 towns, the 20 factors you absolutely need to consider before moving, and the 20 red flags that could turn your paradise into a nightmare. You'll find the link in the description. But honestly, after seeing what's happening in these towns, you might want to keep watching first. Because the real tragedy isn't just about numbers, it's about communities watching their own success destroy them. Every new resident who falls in love with Madison's volunteer culture dilutes it. Every retiree who discovers DeFuniak's healthcare haven overwhelms it. Every nature lover who finds Chiefland's solitude shatters it. The locals know this, that's why they're not celebrating when their town makes another best places list. They're calculating how much time they have left, because once the secret breaks, really breaks, there's no putting it back in the bottle. The most heartbreaking part? Nobody's the villain in this story. Not the retiree in Sebring who just wanted a place to watch sunsets without going broke. Not the locals who built these communities over decades. Not even the real estate agents who whisper about the next Punta Gorda. Everyone's just trying to find their place in a state that's running out of affordable places to be. That Sebring retiree we started with, the one who's been there just 2.5 months, they represent something profound. They're not a pioneer anymore. They're part of the fifth wave. The first wave came in the 90s, when you could buy a lakefront home for $60,000. The second arrived after the 2008 crash, scooping up foreclosures. The third discovered these towns through word of mouth at retirement parties. The fourth found them on hidden gems lists. This fifth wave? They're different. They're not coming because they want to. They're coming because they have to. Priced out of Sarasota, Naples, even Orlando's suburbs. Their retirement savings that would have bought a nice condo in 2019 now barely covers a mobile home near the coast. So they drive inland, searching for that mythical combination, affordable, safe, with decent health care. And they find Sebring, or Madison, or DeFuniak Springs. I didn't choose this place, that Sebring retiree might say, if pressed. It chose me. It was the only place left where my Social Security check covers more than just rent. Which of these towns speaks to your situation? Are you someone who needs that volunteer community in Madison to feel useful again? Or does Chiefland's promise of disappearing into nature call to your soul? I'm genuinely curious. Drop a comment about what you're really looking for in retirement. Not the marketing brochure version, but the real reason you're watching videos like this at 2 a.m. Here's what the data can't capture: the moment when a town's soul shifts. Punta Gorda felt it happen around 2018. One morning, locals woke up and realized they didn't recognize half the faces at the farmer's market. The coffee shop conversations changed from "how's your garden" to "what did you sell your house up north for?" The city council meetings that used to debate park maintenance now fought over development permits. The 427 housing units Punta Gorda needs, they'll build them. But they won't build the feeling that's already gone, that sense of discovering something special, of being part of something intimate. Once a secret spreads beyond a certain point, it stops being a secret. It becomes a commodity. But here's the twist nobody expects. Some of these towns might actually pull off the impossible. They might grow without losing their souls. How? By doing exactly what Madison's doing, turning new residents into the solution, not the problem. Those volunteer programs that give retirees purpose, they also give the town free labor for essential services. It's brilliant, really. Every new retiree isn't just another mouth to feed. They're another pair of hands to help. DeFuniak Springs has its own strategy. By focusing on healthcare infrastructure, before the wave hits, they're building capacity for growth that doesn't sacrifice quality. They learned from watching coastal towns crumble under their own success. Build first, market later. Novel concept in Florida. The question that haunts every breakfast conversation in these 10 towns isn't whether discovery is coming, it's whether they can shape what happens next. Can Sebring stay under the radar even as moving trucks arrive weekly? Can Chiefland preserve its nature-first identity when the nature seekers outnumber the nature itself? Can any place maintain its character while tripling in size? What's your take on this? Should these towns try to stay hidden, or is growth inevitable? Have you watched your own town transform beyond recognition? Drop your story below. I read every single one, and the patterns you share help everyone understand what's really happening across Florida. The Sebring retirees' 2.5-month journey isn't ending, it's just beginning. They're about to watch their new haven either evolve or erode. Either way, they're part of the story now, part of the change they came seeking shelter from, because that's the ultimate irony, isn't it? In searching for the last affordable paradise, we become the very force that transforms it into something else. The secret was never about keeping people out. It was about growing thoughtfully enough to preserve what made these places worth finding in the first place. If you're wrestling with these same questions, trying to find your own balance between affordable and authentic, then you're not alone. Subscribe not to support me, but to join thousands of others navigating this changing landscape together. We're all trying to find our place in a Florida that's running out of places. The sun still sets over Lake Jackson and Sebring. That porch still offers a view worth moving for, but now that retiree watches it with different eyes, knowing they're not just witnessing a sunset, but possibly the sunset of something irreplaceable. Tomorrow, there will be more moving trucks, more for sale signs, more secrets spilled. The only question left is whether what rises in place of these hidden havens will honor what came before, or simply pave over it like everything else in Florida's endless transformation.